Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed with DrPND, where we help you reclaim your health with tips, tools, and resources to live your most optimal and vibrant life. Here's your host, DrPND.
Hello and welcome to Your Health Reclaimed. This is your host, Dr. PND, and today we have another exciting episode that we're going to talk about the popular GLP-1 RA medications. These are things like the Wagovye and the Ozempic and the such. So obviously it's a very popular medication and it's a very hot topic. And I wanted to come here and really dispel the myths and realities of those medications and the alternatives of GLP-1 medications, and basically clear through some of the confusion that is out there and really share my experience, professional experience and opinion about those medications and the reality of using those medications and what does work and what does not work. And again, what are the side effects and what can be expected. So obviously I'm very biased towards natural health. That's just it is. The first myth that I want to dispel, is that because those medications are very popular, and they, are used very heavily, a lot of companies have jumped on the bandwagon of offering, natural alternatives to those medications. First of all, let me blatantly clear here, and I'm going to tell you that there is no natural alternatives. Anybody telling you, they're lying to you. And let me explain that. These medications are very powerful, and they're also very effective in what they can do. Yes, they come with serious side effects or the potential for those side effects, short-term and long-term, but the effectiveness of those medications is real, and it is very, very potent. So if somebody's telling you or trying to sell you a protocol or supplement, whatever it might be, a program that is natural alternatives or tricks or all those, stupid, ridiculous things that honestly are on social media, they're lying to you, I wish there was natural alternative. I wish absolutely there were, but there's not. So anybody telling you otherwise, they will be lying to you. The truth about these medications is that, again, yes, they do work, and no, there are no natural alternatives powerful enough to even come close to what these medications do. Now, you might see some supplements and some cited studies trying to convince people that there are things that work very well or very close to those medications. They don't. So let me clarify that. There are natural substances, like herbs and other natural ingredients. They definitely can and do lower blood sugar effectively, but this is only technically and relatively speaking. So for instance, substances like certain isomers of inositol, myo-inositol, for example, berberine and alpha-lipoic acid, yes, they do lower blood sugar, and they definitely help increase insulin sensitivity and response. Nobody's going to argue that, correct? There's a lot of studies showing that, right? Here's the devil is always in details, correct? So details matter. So what are they talking about? Well, it's all relative. So if you look at the studies, for instance, let's just be honest, and let's compare a GLP-1 medication use and somebody using berberine and inositol, like a product called actually lost my wording here, but there's a couple of good products that actually I use with my clients. There are isomers of inositol that work really well. We plug in berberine and alpha-lipoic acid and compare that with the same relativity to the GLP medications. You are talking a minuscule percentage. So say those substances, even taken together as a formulation, lower blood sugar by, say, 5%. As opposed to during the same amount of time, for the same person, a GLP medication will lower that by 80-90% difference, for example. These are just obviously arbitrary, hypothetical speaking numbers, but I'm just trying to illustrate the relativity here. So yes, are they technically correct about those natural substances being able to lower blood sugar and improve insulin sensitivity and response? Correct. But the actual realistic effect of that will be so minuscule that it really will make little to no difference. Especially when it comes to the inhibition of glucagon hormone that those medications have and appetite suppression. It pales to comparison. So I just want you guys to understand and know that there is no alternatives natural that are as effective as those medications. Again, they don't even come close. So don't fall for that. Some of those natural substances, are they effective? Are they very safe? 100%, absolutely. Yeah, I use them all the time for different reasons. I work with a lot of people, women that have PCOS and other issues, metabolic issues. But do not be deceived; they will not match the effect of those medications. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in real quick of what the GLP-1 is and what those medications are, and we're going to go from there. And then I would like to give you a realistic approach to what we help people that are taking those medications or have gotten off those medications, and how we help them optimize their results and how to, most importantly, help them prevent or mitigate to some extent the side effects, the short-term and the long-term side effects of those medications. So here we go, GLP-1. Oh, it's a short for glucagon-like peptide. Anybody can look that up always. And this is what is called the incretin hormone that's produced in the gut and also in the interstitially, basically tissues outside of the intestines, that is released in response to food bolus, basically when you eat something. Increased levels of that hormone are detectable usually within 15 minutes of starting a meal, right? So it's just a natural response of the body to a feeding, action. So GLP-1 basically encourages insulin release from the pancreas to help fast lower blood sugar levels and increase the volume. Increase the volume of pancreatic beta cells, which inhibits glucagon release. When insulin is up, glucagon is down, and vice versa. Those hormones never exist together at the same time in the body. It's always one is up, the other one is down. That's why it has an inhibitory, effect on glucagon. So what this does, it increases satiety after a meal by acting on the appetite regulation centers in the brain and slowing gastric emptying. So GLP-1 is rapidly broken down afterwards by the dipeptidase 4 enzyme. Okay, again, this is just a natural response, a natural physiological response to eating. Any normal healthy human being is going to have this action take place when they eat. So the GLP-1 receptor agonist, what they call GLP-1 RAs, these are a class of medications that are primarily used to manage blood sugar levels in individuals with type 2 diabetes. That's why they were created in the first place. But they started noticing the extreme and powerful effect of weight loss, the people that were on those medications. And therefore, that's how ultimately they became so popular. And they were prescribed now for people that do not need, to suppress blood sugar because they're not diabetic. They're generally speaking normal people. Although anybody who has to lose weight, they're going to have insulin resistance and technically be pre-diabetic by default. But anyway, without getting too technical, that's what those medications now prescribe for weight loss. Okay, so these medications, they have gained a tremendous popularity for weight loss in obese and overweight people. There's people also taking them that technically are not even really obese or really much overweight, but they just want to go to another level, and they're being prescribed pretty indiscriminately, to be honest with you. So people taking them, they shouldn't be taking them. So anyway, but those medications, they ultimately mimic the action of the naturally occurring hormone GLP-1, as we discussed here previously. And really, these medications should be used only to complement healthy lifestyle and dietary habits. The problem is that most people solely rely on those medications for weight loss, for the weight loss effect, and never really change their lifestyle or dietary habits in any way, shape, or form, aside from obviously getting the inhibition hunger from those medications and not eating, which makes things worse, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. So, one of the things that those medications come with, fortunately, is can come with heavy side effects. And very common ones are gastrointestinal issues. Nausea, diarrhea, constipation, anorexia, and vomiting due to the GLP-1's pleiotropic effects on the gut physiology are unfortunately very common. Okay. Use of these medications has also been associated with increased risk of biliary disease, pancreatitis, bowel obstruction, and gastroparesis. Okay, which is not good. You do not want to have that. Because the GLP-1 medications interfere with the absorption and utilization of essential vitamins and minerals and other nutrients in the body, they can potentially lead to nutrient depletion over time and ultimately some serious nutrient deficiencies to a clinical standpoint, which is not good, obviously. They do inhibit quite a bit. I see that people becoming deficient very quickly, and I test with those people that come to us for support with those medications. We test. So the top nutrients that get depleted usually with those medications are going to be your vitamin B12. The B vitamins in general, but B vitamin 12 is a big one. Folate, calcium, magnesium, iron, vitamin D is a big one, and zinc. In addition to fat loss, also the ongoing caloric restriction can also result in unhealthy loss of muscle mass, which, let me rephrase that. The restriction is not, I said can result. No, it almost always 100% does result in unhealthy loss of muscle mass. Therefore, maintaining adequate protein intake and resistance training is absolute key to helping maintain lean body mass to the best of the ability of the person. The reality is that those people that get on those medications, they don't have a good, healthy lifestyle. They don't. They think they do, they're delusional. And what they do is they use those medications basically as a proxy and 100% rely on that crutch. And those people never had good, lifestyle and dietary habits. So they don't eat healthy. They don't need enough protein. They don't need enough micronutrients. So those medications work very powerfully by inhibiting appetite. So say somebody goes from eating garbage, processed food diet. Well, they still eat processed food, but now they're cutting those, caloric restrictions down to, half, maybe 70%, who knows? Some people barely eat. So now you're already starting in a depleted phase, being morbidly obese with low muscle mass. Now you're just adding fuel to the fire because you're going from eating a lot of processed food to eating very little processed food, and whatever little nutrition you were ingesting, including protein, with your processed food eating habits, now you're completely decreasing and eliminating that. So you might have getting at least some decent protein from McDonald's or Burger King, whatever other garbage people eat. Now they're cutting basically down to nothing. So you see this depletion in muscle mass loss a lot. That's why they talk about Ozempic Face or the Ozempic body. It's a real thing. What you're seeing is a severe malnutrition, starvation, depletion aspect of those medications. But we all know that for the namesake of losing weight, people will do anything, including kill themselves. So anyway, I digress here, but it really is very, very important to be able to understand those facts with those medications and what they can and cannot do. Again, the Ozempic Face is something that's very real, and it's basically changes, very fast, abrupt changes in facial appearance due to the weight loss, and facial fat distribution that occurs, during the use of those medications, and that causes the skin to actually sag and appear older. Not to mention, because you're starving yourself of vital nutrients, which to begin with, those people are usually depleted with, to some extent or another. Now it's even more so. So now that also causes the skin to age prematurely at a lot, faster rate. So, there's nothing new. You're going to see here, today is January 17th, 2025. I predict the next few years that that craze shall pass and will have blown its proverbial nut, like we say. There's nothing new. These trends have been going on for a long time. There was the first official chemical drug that was created and used for weight loss was back in the 50s and early 60s. Was called DNP, stood for dinitrophenol. It was actually a drug that literally melted body fat from people, and it did that by doing some uncoupling in the Krebs cycle for the energy production of the cell. So basically, the production of energy kind of kept spinning its wheels, creating energy, but without being transferred. So what that caused is very severe thermogenesis. And part of that thermogenic effect was the very fast and high utilization of body fat. Basically, people are oxidizing or quote unquote burning body fat with that drug really effectively, to the point of death. And literally, the death of overdose of that medication was extremely high. And upon autopsies, medical examiners were literally seeing pinkish tissues, like the tissue itself was cooked. So it was not uncommon for some of those people before they died to reach a temperature of 110, 112 degree fever, which anybody in the right mind is going to know it can be lethal, and it was lethal. So that medication that drug was pulled out, obviously. There were some others here and there, but the next one was in the 90s, the fen-phen. Anybody older enough, they want to remember the fen-phen. Of course, that got pulled out real fast because, again, of damage and death, the medication. That too blew its proverbial nut. Nothing happened. Didn't solve the problem. But then fast forward to 2006, when the fentromethazine and the whole HCG diets came on board. They were short-term, again, very effective. Luckily, to my knowledge, didn't kill anybody, but they too blew the proverbial nut because you were causing the body to lose weight under forced starvation. And the same thing happened as the Ozempic and all those GLP-1 medications. People lost a lot of fat. With that, they lost a lot of muscle mass as well, and they became depleted. And when they got off those medications, because you can't stay on the medication for the rest of your life, oftentimes they blew back up, and also, more often than not, they blew up more than they actually lost. So they went back to square one and then some. And of course, when they tried to repeat that pattern again, the 6 month to year medication use, the body didn't react well, because at that point, it damaged its metabolism. It lowered the basal metabolic rate, basically, and the body fought them. Because remember, no man is smarter than the physiology of the body. I promise you that. You might trick your body to do one thing one time, but it's going to come fighting with a vengeance afterwards. So same thing with those epics. I guarantee you that's going to blow its nut, and people are going to be back to square one. But I just hope that they're not back to square one with some severe permanent side effects. Okay, like one of being the gastroparesis, which is a very, very dangerous condition to have. Ask any medical doctor, they'll tell you, especially people that work in the ER. So I just advise you guys, anybody listening to this, if you are thinking about those medications, it is not worth it. I promise you it's not going to be worth it. And I know it's tempting. I know it's really enticing. And, you see your friends and family and whoever else that they look great, but they don't. So you have to really see how they look in person without makeup, without the clothing. You see the nasty skin hanging. You see the premature aging of the skin, the facial structure, the loss of muscle mass. For most people, it does not end up well. So yes, they might again feel a lot better temporarily, but then again, you can't stay on those medications for the rest of your life. It's going to come a backfire. So try to do things naturally. I know it's not easy. It is hard to change habits, but it's worth it because that is the only thing that is ever going to work. There's not going to be genetic engineering, some kind of genetic therapy or drug or a combination of drugs or supplements that is ever going to compensate for a poor lifestyle. And that is a fact. That is something that I'm going to take to the grave with me. I guarantee you it will never happen. I know this is not what people want to hear, but this is the brutal reality of it. So let me explain what we do, and there are the options that are out there for people who do engage in the use of those medications. So first of all, there's the lifestyle interventions. Okay. The people that do those medications, if they are back to square one, change their lifestyle and their dietary habits, first of all, get so much faster benefit and so much better benefit than the person who does not change that. And also, they are able to mitigate to quite a bit of extent the side effects that potentially come with those medications, and they usually do, especially the long-term medications. So we go through two different phases. Phase one are people who are using those medications or about to use those medications. And the phase two is folks that have gotten off those medications and now they're trying to do damage control and or maintain their weight loss. Either way, these are the principles here that I'm going to describe that have to take place for both. It is better for the people to, what I'm about to read here with the lifestyle interventions and dietary nutritional considerations that I'm going to go over real quick. It's always the best case scenario to begin these things when you're beginning those medications. A lot of people, unfortunately, come to us after the fact, which is okay. But the lifestyle intervention ultimately is going to include regular strength training of high intensity. It can be once, twice a week, whatever you can do, but one that really supports healthy blood sugar to begin with and body composition. But the biggest thing is going to promote the retention of lean muscle mass and healthy metabolic rate. At the very least, is going to help to definitely minimize the damage of amount of muscle loss that's going to take place and the lowering of the metabolic rate. It will definitely add to that. So either you're going to be able to maintain it or you're going to be able to at least mitigate that drastic damage that will take place. So stress and sleep deprivation are huge. For one, they do impact blood sugar, and the mechanism is the brain that govern appetite and food cravings. Anybody who hasn't slept well, they know they don't feel good, they crave bad foods, and just, it doesn't go well. So sleeping, acquiring good sleep hygiene, and you can Google that. There's many people have written, books about that, articles, blogs, videos. It's the information is the same. Adopt a high quality sleep hygiene and mitigate stress to the best of your ability, because that will only, one, slow down the effect of those medications to begin with, but two, is going to help increase the side effect potential of those medications. Okay, so sleep hygiene and stress reduction. When it comes to dietary and nutritional consideration, consuming a balanced, micronutrient-rich, dense diet that prioritizes lean protein, non-starchy vegetables, limited amount of fruit, healthy fats, while completely avoiding processed food, sugar, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, naturally sweetened beverages, any of those is a must. That will accelerate your progress like you won't believe. When people do that, right here by default without medications, they're going to lose weight in a healthy way. When you add those medications to that, it's like adding kerosene or jet fuel to a fire. It just goes to a whole nother level. So again, the message is you start with a healthy lifestyle habits and dietary considerations. The intervention, those medications will have much faster, much better, and overall safer effect on your weight loss journey. Okay. So very important. Another thing is protein is extremely important. To begin with, people don't really get enough protein. They really don't, especially someone who's more vegan, vegetarian, pescatarian, they don't. 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound, of body weight per day is a general very good recommendation to shoot for. It really is. It can vary, see what you can do, but generally speaking, that is, especially again when you're trying to lose body fat, because remember, one of the things you're going to take out carbohydrates out or drastically limit starchy carbohydrates, and I'm talking about healthy carbohydrates, not processed food, by default. So we go into a ketogenic state, and the rate of body fat oxidation goes through the roof, and that's how ultimately you burn body fat. So protein is very essential. First of all, protein has the highest thermic effect of any of the macronutrients, from carbs, proteins, and fats. Generally speaking, about 20% of the caloric content of protein ingested food is going to require for its own digestion. So the energy used is going to go, 20% of that's going to go to the digestion and metabolism of the protein source. When I say 0.8 to 1 gram of protein, I'm not talking about the actual physical weight of the protein source, which has to be animal source, by the way. Vegetarian sources do not count. Anybody telling you otherwise, they're lying to you. It doesn't work like that. So, for example, say you want to get 25 grams of protein from chicken. That is not 25 grams of actual chicken breast being weighed. That's about equivalent of 4 ounces, 5 ounces of chicken breast is going to give you about 25 grams. So you look at what is the protein content of the food itself per weight. Generally speaking, turkey, chicken, lean meat, you're going to have about 22 to 25 grams per every 4 ounces, depending. So make sure you're confident on that. Another way is, to meet that protein demand is, considering adding good, high quality, clean protein shakes, not vegetable sources, not plant-based proteins, but, whey protein and or amino acids. Protein isolate is always going to work the best, especially people sensitive to lactose. Plus, you're eliminating any sugars that might be in the milk by default. So good high quality whey protein isolate without artificial preservatives, sweeteners, colorings and such is going to make a big difference, because one little scoop of whey protein isolate is going to give you about 25 grams of pure protein. So it's a very easy, very lightweight, very practical, convenient way to meet your protein demand, for most people during the day. So that's another one is adding high quality branched chain amino acids as well. That too helps quite a bit as well. Another aspect is adequate hydration. I know people talk about water. I know everybody's got the little water bottles, but in no reality, if you really, really measure the people's intake, it is not that high. And when you're oxidizing body fat, the water requirement of your body will be higher, because when you're dropping carbohydrates, you're not going to be storing water either. So that's why low carbs diet works so fast initially. People get confused with fat. They actually end up dropping water for the first couple of weeks. So people say, I dropped 10 pounds in a week or 2 weeks. There was no body fat. I promise you didn't burn any body fat for 10 pounds. You actually drop water weight. Because of that, you're not retaining any water. So your hydration, along with coupled with the fact that, oxidation of body fat is very heavily dependent also on water, proper hydration. you will need more water consumption throughout the day. How much, it depends what you do, it depends how much you sweat, but the generally speaking rule of the half of your body weight in ounces is actually pretty good. It really is. I have honestly found it to be a generally speaking very good practical reason for most people. So another thing to add to your water onto your diet is electrolytes. When you losing body fat again, as I said, you're going to also lose water, weight. You become more prone, especially for people who have born and raised and have eaten processed food. Ultimately, that's how they got fat. The electrolyte balances are not usually optimal, or not even close to even being good. So hydration is really optimized with the proper electrolyte content. So putting a natural electrolyte powder into your water on a daily basis makes a big difference. Again, free of sugar, free of artificial flavorings, colorings, and sweeteners. There are great products out there on the internet, and Amazon's got a whole bunch of stuff that really makes a big difference. Also, they're flavored naturally and also sweetened naturally with monk fruit or stevia. Therefore, generally speaking, people have the tendency to want to drink more. So when you have a flavored water with high quality electrolytes that taste good, people are going to drink more. Okay. Another thing also to help with sugar craving, because that's going to happen, even though those medications, again, are powerful and definitely, inhibit appetite quite well, the cravings still are a problem for people. Not to that extent, but still can be a problem. A great way to do that is add L-glutamine powder with fresh squeezed lemon into your water with the electrolytes together, or separate, doesn't matter. But lemon water, basically making fresh lemonade with liquid stevia or liquid monk fruit. If you like it sweet, it really helps to curb the sugar cravings. Lemon or lime or both. And the reason is because the citric acid in those citrus fruits does help with sugar cravings very well. So that's something that really works really effective with our patients that we work with. And really has made a big difference. So real quick, glutamine powder, okay, you can get that anywhere. It quickly converts to glutamine and may rapidly, again, satisfy the cravings without impacting insulin. And honestly, it does so very well. Not to mention helps with recovery. So if you're weight strength training, that really is going to make a difference. Also, glutamine is very heavily used in protocols for gut healing. So if you have any gastrointestinal issues, those medications, as I said before, do have GI distress, causative factors in that. So using glutamine is just good overall. It helps with the hunger, helps with satiety of sugar cravings, is good for inflammation and recovery from strenuous exercise, and also, it's just good for the gut. So glutamine is essential. That's something that I've found this conditionally essential amino acid to be honestly very useful, on many levels for that. So some people, if they do crave chocolate, a lot of times that is being deficient in magnesium. So heavy magnesium supplementation is definitely warranted. Something that I have found works really well, using magnesium glycinate and magnesium malate, again, about half and half, or 2/3 to 1/3 ratio, works really well. So malate and glycinate, these two forms of magnesium, work really well for numerous ways. But one of them is for, again, help with the cravings, with the hunger that still might be present to some extent, but also calming your central nervous system down, help with electrolyte balance. That's a big one. And also with sleep and relaxation in general. So I would shoot for about 600 milligrams in divided doses per day, starting there, and then upping it by 200 milligrams every 2 or 3 days, and see how you feel. You will definitely feel the effect. 200 to 300 milligrams of that should be definitely taken before bed, because that too will help with sleep and relaxation. Because remember, we talked about stress and sleep. The fastest way and the best way the highest rate of fat oxidation actually takes place during restful sleep. So the more you sleep, the better. Now, obviously, you're not talking about sleeping 12, 13 hours a day, but getting those 8, 9 hours a day, it really can make a big difference. And somebody obviously sleeping 4, 5, 6 hours a day, getting 7, 8 hours a day is a big improvement and a big difference. Allulose is Allulose. Allulose is a sugar alcohol, and that has actually been shown to stimulate secretion of GLP-1 naturally, even though honestly I'm not a fan of it because it is artificial sugar alcohol and can have and add GI distress for some people, like bloating and gas and so forth. I'm sensitive to allulose. I can't have it. It bothers me. But some people have found it useful. Again, it's a natural remedy. Natural help just to kind of help with cravings and sugar and so forth. And the GLP-1, secretion. It's just a little knick-knack that I have seen work with some people. Again, the goal here is just, guys, to give you bottom line scenarios, things that I for a fact know can work. Obviously, nothing works for everybody all the time, and I always say here, I don't claim to know it all, and I never will. But for whatever my professional and personal experience is, my goal is to relate that here in those podcasts, for people that cannot afford or don't want to work with a professional, somebody like me, and they can do the best they can on themselves. All right, so real quick, I get asked a lot, what products do I use in those protocols, and what sequences. So first of all, I cannot tell you every single product I use because I primarily work with clinical nutraceutical supplements companies. Some of those you can't buy, aside from working with a licensed professional, but some you can. So the glutamine powder, allulose, liquid stevia, obviously the monk fruit, the magnesium, you can get that on Amazon. Nobody fakes those. These are good quality whey protein isolate. A good company is by Grass-Fed Earth, also Blue Bonnet whey isolate. That's honestly one of the longest standing companies that I've used probably the last 30 years for myself and with some of the people that really is effective. They have a phenomenal product, and it's called whey isolate. It's by Blue Bonnet. You can look it up. As far as I remember, at least a year ago, Amazon has it. But it's a very good, clean protein, all natural, no sugar whatsoever, very easily absorbable and digestible, very easily mixable. It mixes really easy. So go for that. Some specific supplements that I work with that's really not really available. I work, with probably Designs for Health, BioLite, and Physica Energetica. These are companies that I use quite a bit. Physica Energetica has a phenomenal product for gut support and also for biliary support when somebody's taking those medications. They also have homeopathics that just basically liquids you spray into your mouth that really help with hunger and craving, in addition to what I said. And also they have a phenomenal liposomal B complex and B12 supplementation, liposomal supplementation that is extremely easy, very effective, and tastes really, really good actually, for support of micronutrients. I use a product called Myostim and Performance Peptides to support people's muscle mass when they're engaged in strength training. Creatine monohydrate, that's another one I use. That again can be purchased from Amazon, just a pure creatine monohydrate formula. Naked brand, it's called Naked, just Naked brand. They have phenomenal glutamine and creatine powder. Phenomenal product. Again, that's something you can get from Amazon. Unfortunately, Physica Energetica does not sell anywhere. You have to be a licensed, but they have very high-end quality products. Another company is called BioLight Technologies. They also have a lot of homeopathic remedies that really help with cravings. I use a combination of Physica and BioLight to really help sleep, stress response throughout the day, and also craving inhibition. There's a formulation of a few products that works extremely well, especially people that are really stressed out and are kind of revving things up and going. Because a lot of folks drink coffee and energy drinks, which that's not really not the best thing to do because they're trying to compensate for the energy deficit. Because when you're using those GLP-1 medications, remember, you're not going to have usually a lot of energy, especially towards later because, you don't have this energy supply that your body really needs. So after people especially lose the weight, they start feeling this general feeling of fatigue and just suboptimality. So you really want to support that. And that can be done numerous ways. I also use a couple other companies that you cannot really get for muscle mass, for very high quality amino acids. It's a product that nobody makes. There's only one company that makes that. In addition to that, I use a few different products for gastrointestinal support. Depends on a person, depends on the situation, but I use very high-end live-streamed, clinically researched, multi-strain probiotics that are very, very high CFU count in the billions, some of in the trillion, because people need that. Really, especially somebody who has done the medications already for 3-6 months, they definitely need that gastrointestinal support. There's also a product with butyrate, which is extremely healing to the GI. Again, that's a product that I found really well supports the person gastrointestinal system. There's also a product called GI Revive that I use to really help mitigate damage or reverse damage in some cases, the GLP-1 medications. These, what I just mentioned, is used primarily while people are taking those medications, although a lot of people continue to use those supplements afterwards. But next, I'm going to talk about real quick the products that I primarily use, generally speaking, with people that have gotten off the medications that are trying to support their success with the weight loss, basically maintain their weight loss, right? They're on the way back, but at the same time, beginning to reverse the damage that a lot of them have had happen. So I use a special formulation of a multivitamin mineral that really helps naturally support glucose metabolism, insulin secretion, and response. As I said, in addition to that, I use another formulation. It's a product combination of formulation to help further keep that blood sugar low and stable, and also keep increasing insulin response. In the meantime, those people at stage 2 really want to optimize muscle mass. So there are other few formulations and products that are used to really help with, exceed recovery from strength training and also increase muscle mass to the best of their, obviously, hormonal and genetic ability, which is extremely important. In this phase, gut support and gut damage remediation is even more important. So plugging in products for healthy microbial balance, healthy mucosal balance, healthy digestive capacity balance, all those things are very important. So certain digestive enzyme formulations are included. Gastrointestinal repair protocols are, very common here. And everybody varies because depending on the damage they had. So a lot of you guys know that a lot of people already have gut problems to begin with. Generally speaking, pretty much most people have to some extent or another. The GLP medications, as I said, they are notorious for really exacerbating those issues even further and or even causing them in the first place. If somebody even doesn't have one, at least really causing it. For most people, they're going to be exacerbated. Because if somebody is obese and overweight, they are going to have metabolic problems. They are going to have gastrointestinal subfunction to a point, if not right down to circulation issues. But regardless, the best case scenario, overweight people, obese people especially, are going to have some kind of suboptimal function in general with the gastrointestinal system. So this is where it's really important to support that here. Unfortunately, I cannot really give specifics because, again, everybody is different, and they require different scenarios, different dosing frequencies. But, if you or somebody that you know, friends, family, coworkers, are about to get on those medications, are on those medications, or have gotten off of those medications, reach out to us. Have them reach out to us. I'll gladly do a free consultation. Analyze, see, what the person is doing, what they have done, what has been caused, what side effects they've acquired, and I'll gladly support them and restore them back to health, because there's a lot to be done. So, if again, the bottom line is this: if somebody has done a good job of changing their lifestyle and dietary habits, they're going to get so much more out of those medications, and they're also going to, meaning that the medication is going to work faster and better, and also the side effects will be curtailed to some extent, in some cases even eliminated completely. But if not, it's never too late to start. So if you're a person, or again, somebody who has done those medications, now they're done through it, or are still going through it, and they really want to optimize their results, they want to keep their progress going, and they want to maintain what have acquired through the weight loss drugs, reach out to us. There's a lot you can do that you can really help keep those results that you got, and do so in a healthy manner. It's a lot easier to maintain than it is to lose. That's always the case. So keep that in mind. But this is, again, the podcast for today. This is what I want to share with you guys. And remember, if somebody's trying to sell you something that it works, even nearly as good as GLP-1 medications, as far as the effects of it, they're lying to you. There's no such thing. I wish there was, but there's not. And also, if you're going through this journey, we're here to help anyone we can. Reach out to us, and we'll gladly help you. If something simple, and more of a simple scenario, I can easily, issue links for you guys to get those products, or I can get them for you, and get you guys, going on a healthy, strong, lives ultimately after your journey with the GLP-1 medications. If you guys have any questions, go to DrPND, www.drpnd.com. Check us out on Facebook, and reach out to us. We offer free consultations, and I do that because I know there's a lot of confusion out there. I know there's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation out there. It can get confusing and overwhelming. So the reason I offer those free consultations is to see if I can point you the right direction, and or if I can help you reach your health goals. But reach out to us. People always say, we don't want to bother you. You're not a bother. I love doing this. I love seeing people get healthy by any means necessary. That means, with conventional medicine. That means with, holistic medicine or combination of both. It doesn't matter. As long as, people want to, get healthy, if I can support them and help them, I will be there. Well, this is it for this podcast. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time.
Thank you for your valuable time and for listening to the Your Health Reclaimed podcast with Dr. PND. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and share this episode with a person you know it can help. If we can help you in any way, or you would like to connect with Dr. PND, please visit DrPND.com. That's DrPND.com.